So recently I saw a movie. You might have heard of it. Just a little independent film called Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. Oh, you have heard of it? Yeah, okay. Jokes aside, yes, I was able to see the latest episode of the longest running TV show ever, the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Just for a little context, I was the perfect age when the MCU came out. I was 11 years old when the first Iron Man came out in 2008, watching all the movies leading up to the first Avengers film and then seeing them all on the big screen together really was something special. Years later, when I was in college and I got to see it all culminate in Avengers Endgame, it felt like I had witnessed something, like I was a part of something generational, a 23-film 11-year saga finally completed. But the question then came, what's next? I remember walking back from the theater after watching Endgame and discussing with my friend Alex how we were satisfied and we'd definitely catch further MCU movies just because of our affinity for blockbusters, but that we'd never be invested in the MCU as a whole in the same way we were leading up to Endgame. Lately, that sentiment has never been more evident. Like a lot of people, I consider most of Phase 4 to be a stream of disappointment with just a few bright spots. But in retrospect, it's not like the MCU is filled with gold stars and masterpieces. Phases 1 through 3 are littered with bad to painfully average movies, with, again, just a few really good to great films mixed in there. But either way, I'm getting off the point. What I'm trying to say is my lack of interest in the MCU recently has made watching the films feel like a chore, when they used to be something I looked forward to. Maybe it's the weakness of Phase 4, maybe it's Marvel fatigue, it doesn't matter. Regardless, I wasn't interested in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, even if I had enjoyed a lot of the previous Guardians films before. However, I walked out of the movie theater with a huge smile on my face. For the first time since Spider-Man No Way Home, I walked out of a Marvel film smiling. I genuinely had a great time, and it wasn't just because it was a really fun movie. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 is sincerely a really well-made film. It's rare to watch an MCU movie and see a lot of genuine love and passion put into the filmmaking, but if there's one thing that's come out of Phase 4 that I hope the MCU moves forward with, it's allowing the directors and filmmakers to have a voice in their work. Even though I felt the script fell flat, Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness felt like a Sam Raimi film, through the camera work and effects. For better or worse, Thor and Love and Thunder felt like a Taika Waititi film. I'm certain working for Marvel, the producers still hindered some of the director's creative freedoms, but finally Marvel films are starting to feel like films, and not just carbon copies of each other. Guardians Volume 3 feels like a James Gunn film. The camera work is kinetic and smooth, the soundtrack is purposeful and well utilized, even if maybe a tad overused. The dialogue is snappy. For all intents and purposes, Guardians 3 looks, feels, sounds, and operates as a James Gunn film, and I love that. Movies like Guardians 3 are the type of blockbusters that I want more of. Blockbusters where I can feel the director's personality and vision in the final product. This film feels like Marvel and Kevin Feige just allowed James Gunn to do whatever he wanted. And I think for the first time since Endgame ended, the lack of connected universe is paying off. Not trying to connect Guardians to some overarching plot or set up some multiverse story or hint at Kang being the next big bad. Allowed the story to feel like an intimate and personal closing chapter to the Guardians trilogy. It feels like a love letter from James Gunn to not only the audience and those who stuck by him for these films, but also a love letter to the characters. I think this is easily the best Guardians of the Galaxy film because I've yet to see a Guardians film that gives each character their own moment to shine. It feels like every member of the Guardians has their moment in this movie, and I can honestly say I love each character's ending and would honestly be okay if we never saw some of them again. Knowing Marvel, this will never happen, and we'll most likely see them in Kang Dynasty or Secret Wars, but that being said, I don't really care. For the purpose of this story and the world of this film, I am confidently satisfied with how each character's story ends, and that's a thing of beauty. A sense of finality is what gives films stakes, and I've grown past the point of feeling like death and huge loss is the only way to have stakes. I've had an inclination since the first Guardians film that Rocket Raccoon was James Gunn's favorite character in the Guardians, and I think this film proves that point. Truthfully, I've always liked Rocket, but was never in love with his character. This film completely changed that. The dark and horrific backstory for his character that were shown through flashbacks not only makes this film haunting, but adds more depth to the previous Guardians films. So when we see Rocket be a selfish asshole in Guardians 1 and 2, now we know what he's been through and what he's had to survive. I think this film proves what a lot of us knew about James Gunn, and that is that he's one of the best blockbuster directors working today. And I think that aside from his camera work and personality and his directing style that makes his films feel fun and energetic, that his best aspect is how he understands when to stay on emotion. Too many blockbuster directors don't know when and for how long to stay on an emotional beat, but James Gunn seems to know exactly the right time and how to direct the scene. Look at the difference between these two scenes.
Get him.
No. Get your mom to the overpass.
Stay here.
I let my father die because I trusted him. Because he was convinced that I had to wait. That the world was not ready. What do you think?
You better watch out, Lois. Hey, Perry's gunning for you.
Why have you been fighting with the other boys again, baby? Peter.
They killed a little frog that ain't done nothing. Smushed it with the stick.
You're so like your daddy. You even look like him. And he was an angel. Composed out of pure light.
Man, you got a present there for Peter, don't you?
Of course.
I got you covered, Pete.
You open it up when I'm gone, okay? Your grandpa is gonna take such good care of you. At least until your daddy comes back to get you. So take my hand. Peter,
Pete, come on.
take my hand.
No!
It's me.
No!
Got to stay here, please. Okay?
In both scenes, a character loses a parent. The first is from Man of Steel in 2013, directed by Zack Snyder. Notice how Snyder doesn't really leave you much time to stay with the emotion of something tragic. I mean, outside of the stupidity of the Pa Kent dying scene in terms of illogical writing, the scene gives you little to no time to stay with the sadness of Clark losing his father. However, in the very first scene of Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 1 from 2014, we follow a young Peter. We stay with him. Gunn lets us feel the emotion of the scene. Stay with it for a bit. I also used these scenes because I think it's funny when people who are very adamantly rooting against James Gunn's DC universe try and say his films will be too silly and cartoonish. Now, his films do usually have a sense of humor to them, but this is the same guy who started a PG-13 Marvel movie with a kid's mom dying of cancer and him being too afraid to be with her. The same guy who in his silly Suicide Squad movie had one of the characters' father abuse him by torturing him with rats as a child. Say what you want about James Gunn, but he writes some dark stuff into his films. I don't think his Superman film will be full of sunshine and roses, but it'll just capture the heart and spirit of the character a little more accurately. All in all, I really liked Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. I really do like James Gunn as a director, and I'm excited to see his vision for a DC universe come to fruition. I think he's proven he's a really solid director who brings a lot of creativity and passion to the table. He's made 3 of the best MCU films and one of, if not the best, DCEU films. And also, if you haven't checked out Peacemaker, it takes a one-dimensional character from his Suicide Squad film and completely fleshes him out to a really impressive degree. When I sat in the AMC IMAX theater as the credits rolled on Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, I only had one thought on my mind. That was a blockbuster done right. Alright guys, well thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. I've been doing a lot of TV content recently, so it was nice to make a video about a movie. There's actually a lot of movies that I'm really excited about coming out later this year, so definitely expect more videos that are based on film, but also expect, the same amount of TV videos. I will still be doing those. Anyway, make sure to like this video, subscribe, and click the little bell notification so that you guys do get notified when I post new videos, and as always, I will see you guys on the next video.